Hey guys, Marco here from the Vaticants. Good morning, having my morning coffee. And today we're going to do something really cool that I wasn't expecting to do. So I figured since so many people threaten my life if I don't get it done, I'm going to do this real quick and have some fun and then go enjoy my Sunday football games. So today we're going to real quick compare and check out the John Petrucci JP-2c plus Mesa Boogie versus the Marshall Satriani head, the 410. The two of the best heads ever done, best amps ever done in my opinion. And what's funny, I picked this up yesterday and I'm yet to plug it in. I just set it all up. We have the actual 212 wide body cap to go with it in the 1936 on the 410, but I haven't really plugged it in yet. I did some settings the way I remember I used to have it on my 2C and the Mark V. I owned a couple of them before, as I did with Marshall, but I could never really get that. I just always thought something was missing. And so I posted a picture in the Marshall group, which I love so much, and the Mesa Boogie group, and then because I do a lot of reviews, I had like 30 inboxes a minute later. Oh my God, you got to do a sound comparison, and that's what we're gonna do. But I do want to say a few things, which is very, very important. First and foremost, this is not a review. I think it's just really beautiful to have them next to each other and kind of explore the differences. And if you want to skip forward, that's fine. I talk a lot because I want to really give some people that maybe don't have these amps or are considering them a honest opinion. And if you know me, if you watch my other stuff, and we're doing it very casual today, if you know me, when it comes to signature stuff, I'm extremely, I like to point out what isn't there, what I potentially consider just to be a cash grab versus real quality. And I tell you, you would think I'm a huge Dream Theater fan and a huge Satriani fan. Of course I am, and those people have what they've done for us in guitar playing and etc. is incredible. But I promise you, I did not go buy this head because it has a Satriani name on it, let alone because it has a Petrucci name on it. That's not why I have them. It's just, and we'll get to that into it in a second. Why? But number two is this is not a review, okay? And this is not about, when we're done, this one is better, because quite frankly, they're so different, but there are certain things that they do better and certain things they don't. And what's funny to me is, we talk a lot about it in the Les Paul Fender group. There's some people that are like, Les Paul forever and no thanks to Fender. And the same is true with these amps. I'm noticing in the forums, Mesa will smoke the Marshall and this one will smoke the Mesa. First and foremost, when you say stuff like that, you sound ridiculous. You sound ignorant, because all you're doing is eliminating the other half of what's missing that actually would make you a more complete sounding musician. So, and the same with the other way around. You know what I mean? Marshall guys, no chance. It's crazy. Why would you eliminate more sound tools in your library? It's like a Les Paul and a Strat. I'm always trying out how to figure out how to buy more of them rather than separate myself. Are you kidding me? I want a Les Paul, I want a Strat, I want an Ibanez, I want a Freaky Shure, I want a whatever. The more I can get, because the more tools I have in the kitchen, the better of a chef, if I know what I'm doing and I'm putting the work in, I can become. So this whole notion that one is better than the other is just ridiculous. And if you're, what we call a badge whore, then it don't matter. But I promise you right now, this is in no way does this even come close to that in what this does. I don't care how big of a Mesa Boogie you are. See, that's the beauty. I love both. I just love good amps, and vice versa. You're kidding yourself if you're one of these that you're even going to touch what this does. You know what I mean? So, but again, it's not a review. The only review that you need to watch on this is the review that John Petrucci himself did. It's the only review. It's a 20-minute video, a demo that he did. I don't even know why other people bother doing John did a perfect example, and Joe did a perfect video on that. So really, but I do want to compare a few things and point out, which is interesting, being loving both and being in both forums. The first thing is, and I'll take the camera in a little bit and we'll go close panel and then we'll just go and play a little bit. But, and we're the very basic, just compare the clean, the crunch, and the lead with respect to tonal formality. Also, we're not going to mic him because you see I have a Royer, I have all these things, but when you mic it, you start modifying, you got a high pass filter, you got to do this and that. And it's not about, you know, you got to experience these amps for yourself, but there's going to be some really obvious stuff that even on the good iPhone mic, you'll pick up, you know. What's so intriguing about these two amps, and this is incredibly intriguing, is they're both existing amps that both guys did and improved on the existing design. So, which is really interesting when you think about it. John took a 2C Plus, which they built 200 years ago, and Joe took a 410 JVM. And they took that existing design and modified it and improved it. And they really, really, really did. And I'll tell you why. Here's the interesting thing. I own both, the regular 410, and it was a great amp. I always felt there was something missing. And the regular, I also had the Mark V. I said years ago, I wish it had another EQ. I wish it's just something, and it doesn't have MIDI. And then John took it and improved that. And what they did was incredible because it was, had you given me a clean slate of how I could improve them, this is what I would have done. And they did even more than that, which is so incredible. So a lot of people think that the Satriani 410 is a regular 410. Nothing could be further from the truth. And it's a completely different amp. I'm telling you, what that guy did with that Marshall is incredible. He took 800, a Plexi, a 900, the AFD wiring that him and Santiago did are, I'm telling you, it is, just to buy this amp for the crunch channel alone will be worth the money. And then same with this, with respect to cleans and now having separate EQs for the channels too, which is incredible. Now, if you know Mesa, there's a lot of Mesa guys that say, and here's what's so great about having an honest opinion. Some people say that this amp is more versatile than that by default. That is actually just simply not true. And if you know, and you Mesa owners are gonna know what I'm talking about. The reason is a lot of times when you tweak something here, you're actually tweaking to fix and not tweaking to enhance. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you own an old Ferrari or an old sports car, half of the driving is compensating for what the car's faults are, which is beautiful. That's part of driving spirit. But the preamp and EQ, and I don't want to get too much into wiring, but you guys that own Mesas, you know what I'm talking about. If you have a lot of gain and the bass up, see where I'm going with this? You're going to be turning the bass down to fix. Whereas on the JVM Satriani, the bass is always usable on any channel. And that's just little details like that. That doesn't make an amp better or less. At the end of the day, it's the sound and what you're after. Also look at just the knob count. You have 6, 12, 18 knobs. I think you have almost 30 knobs, 28 there. And in this case, it's not a gimmick. There's really more knobs and they do more stuff. You have built-in gates. And again, I don't want to get into review, just giving you a little bit of those gates in there are incredible. They're incredible. But you don't have reverb. Here you have reverb, but you have no gates. So it's little things like that. And 3-channel, 4-channel, that's actually a lie. Here's another thing that these guys did, which is so incredible and interesting. They both, and that took me a little while to get used to, they both took a channel and then duplicated it. And when I wrapped my head around it, it was like, oh, that is so smart, because on a lot of other amps, you get channel 1, 2, and then 3 even more gain. And the problem is when you have the more gain channel, you're kind of compensating for it to sound like the previous channel, but just in a lead form. And what these guys did, which is ironic that both John and Joe did that, is they took the second channel and basically duplicated on channel 3 so that you can have both the same but in different voicings for when you go to your solo or that extra lead. And then the Mesa has that little what is it called, shred function. It's gimmicky. It adds more gain in the middle. It doesn't, it has the same there. It's a little mid boost. So it's funny how kind of this is duplicating a lot of what that does, the mid boost, the duplicating channels. And I'm not saying John is trying, but it's interesting how great minds think alike, I guess, you know. But however, that is really a lie. And because you really have two channels, the third channel is really a duplicate of channel 2. Here you actually have 3 channels, because you really have a clean, then you have the crunch, which is, I'm telling you around, the best crunch channel in the world. It has an AFD with a plexi wiring, and I don't care who you are. I'm not even a Marshall fan, and I'm telling you that channel, if you know anything about music or rock and roll or that sound we talk about, then you'll be a fool not to even acknowledge that, how great that is. So you have clean, crunch, and then 2 exact matching overdrives. Okay, so you technically have 3 channels. You actually generally have a channel more than this. And the Satriani head, and again, that doesn't necessarily make it better, but I'm just saying, if you want to talk versatility, this doesn't even come close. The Marshall has it beat hands down. For one, you have way more knobs on it. You have an extra channel that generally is a completely different channel than the clean and the 2 overdrives. Within that channel, you have different settings, because that crunch AFD wiring that they did is worth the $3,000 alone. And then you have your 2 overdrives, which you can voice differently, and you have the mid-shift boost for both, and the gates and all that stupid stuff. You also have 2 masters and separate resonance on the thing, just like you have here, individual volumes for each channel. Foot switch is all the same stuff. You know, you can, they both have MIDI. But generally speaking, the reality is they both cost the same. Actually, this one is $2,800 when it came out, and it's still $2,750. This one was $2,599. The Satriani is actually a cheaper head than the Mesa Boogie. But you know, you're talking $100, etc., etc. Again, I'm not going to get into the whole front panel, back panel. If you know these amps, if you want reviews, that's there. I'm giving you very kind of specific to Marshall camp, to Mesa camp, and in a moment we'll get into sounds. It's very classic. You got a 2x12 on the Satriani head, and you got 2x12 Mesa Boogie on the Petrucci head. So, but it's just very interesting to me how these guys took an existing design and then improved on that. And I will say they nailed it in both. I mean, it's incredible. They couldn't be more different. Again, I know that from the Mark V and from having had a years ago a 2C. So I haven't plugged this in yet. I have a very good idea how it's going to sound. I don't own these because I'm chasing Satriani Dream Theater tones. But see, if you already looked on the panel, you see I already know pretty much how this needs to be. And I mean, quote unquote, look where my gain is, look where my bass is. I mean, the moment I put this out of the box and I put it on this 2x12, almost simultaneous, I'm turning up the gain, I'm turning down the bass. Because if you own every Mesa, you know you do not want to have those two go hand in hand, just because certain settings are before the preamp and etc., etc. And I'm good with wiring, but I don't want to bore you with that. You guys probably already know. There's one thing on the 2C that to me is a big I don't know if the word disappointment. Let me grab a sip of coffee. It's not much a disappointment, but like a what the kind of a thing. And I looked at the diagram, and some of you guys can correct me in the forum if I'm wrong. But I'm hooking up my pedals because, of course, you're going to do send and return for your usual suspects. And I'm getting a weird sound, and then I realized on the wiring, I looked it up, I found it online, that the reverb is pre. So it's the first thing in the chain. And that just blew my mind, because that makes it completely unusable unless you're going straight in. So why you would do that, I cannot for the life of me figure out. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's the fact that the reverb is the one thing you would want to put at the end. After chorus, after delay, after your flanger, whatever, noise gate, distortion straight in, but everything else into the loop. And that sounds miserable. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why John and Dave would improve on all the stuff they improved, but then they would put the reverb. And the only thing I can think of is because in the original one, it is like that. But then it don't make sense because you're taking this and you're improving it. And I unless I'm mistaken, so please correct me in the comments, but if I'm interpreting this the right way, the reverb, when you put the effects loop on, stays in the front because it's pre. So that completely makes it useless. And the biggest shame about that is you actually have 3 individual reverb buttons in the back for each channel, which is incredible. That is awesome, but makes it completely useless. And on top of that, it's a good quality reverb. But if you're using effects send and return for your effects loop, there's nobody on earth that's going to put the reverb in the front. So sorry we got cut off there. So yeah, I just don't understand why you would do that, or if that was just a big gaffe or a miss or whatnot. But it's such a shame because the reverb is such a great quality. And what's so great about Satriani's head, there's not even a reverb on there because everybody uses a different reverb. He thought it was a complete waste of buttons, so instead they put gates on there, which is really, really phenomenal. Let's just, you know what, we're gonna just take, we'll go very basic on it. We'll take a 59 Les Paul and just go clean crunch, and gain, and just compare those two beauties. Again, I don't understand why you would separate them when, to me, the whole goal was, how can I get both? They're so incredible. This sounds so different, but the beauty is we're going to be very, very honest about kind of what's where, what, how. We're going to go straight in, maybe a little delay or reverb, but that's all in the loop anyway. But for now, let's just compare it super dry. So let me show you real quick, guys, how we're going to do this. This is really cool. We're going to just use this 59, which is just kind of like the perfect neutral tester. We can kind of use anything with higher output. I was even thinking the Wolfgang, but we're gonna just go with the 59. And the reason is they're unpotted, so we're really gonna kind of expose the amps for noise and things that you can't hide behind. It's not mic, don't worry, it's just straight, and I'll have my beautiful wife sit there and just kind of tape me for a moment. But if you notice, I'm going to turn everything off, the compressors and the noise for that matter, to kind of see at what point we need the gates, etc., to kick in, and then we'll make it a little musical at some point, put maybe some delay. But I'm going to turn that off too. So let's just go, and then we'll just kind of A/B it. What's great is I'm going straight in with the cable here, and then I got my wireless. I'm just going to switch back and forth, and I'm going to do it in real time on purpose, because it's kind of interesting to see how the mind remembers it and then compares the sounds. So we're not going to edit it. We're just going to go from one to the other and just explore all channels. And settings-wise, I'm very similar. Now, of course, you can, spend a year dialing in your stuff. But if you look, I did the same on the clean, bass, mids down, obviously, as you want, if you want to get a lot of headroom. And the treble, and if you look here on the clean, it's kind of very similar. I got the mids down, the treble up. So we're treble up and bass is reversing these. You have bass, middle, treble. Here, of course, on the Mesa, as you know, you're going the opposite. So I'm just going to kind of, do a similar setting, the most comparable, and just see what the difference is per channel. Same with the graphic EQ here. I'm going to dial this, excuse my folks, I'm going to dial this in a second here to kind of reflect this, because it's kind of very similar actually per channel. It's just nice you have them independent. So let's see what's up. All right, let's get to the sound part, enough of the blabber. Let's start with the clean. And again, they're both dialed in, very similar. Let's just see what we got. We'll start with the Mason. We're completely dry, so if you look at the board here, there's no noise gate, no nothing. We're bypassing everything, and we're just gonna go channel 1, no reverb, nada. And again, we have the effects loop on, so the reverb unfortunately doesn't make sense on the amp because it is pre. So here we go. Let's see what we got. pitch. You know, this is definitely some of the best cleans you'll ever hear. I mean, I'm not surprised. And again, I'm still I played the amp before, but I just got it, and it's really the first time I'm playing through it. Sorry, the intonation might be slightly off on this, but the cleans are absolutely incredible. I mean, just listen to this. It's I'll give you some cheesy open chords just to. It's incredible. It's really, 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 really good. Let's make it a little bit more musical, and we'll turn on the a little delay and a little bit of the compression, which kind of doesn't do much on this one because it's already so pre-compressed there. But just check out how gorgeous this sounds. You know, it's you can tell it's a Mesa Boogie from like a mile away. You know, that's a good delay. Dead gorgeous. The way that this amp contains the highs is just incredible. And mind you, I'm on 9 AM on volume, so I don't want to do a full review on sound, just kind of give you an idea with just some cheesy basic chords. But check this out. I'm going to unplug this, and we're going to go into the Satriani. And now we're on the clean there. And here's the interesting thing. You see on the clean, you actually have 3 different wirings. So you got, you know, as you know, green, amber, and red. The green is really useless because it's the driest, most sterile clean there is. And unless you're doing a lot of effects loop on it, it really doesn't make much sense. So we're going to go straight to the red, which is what's more comparable to what we just heard here. Let's do exactly the same chords. Lower in the volume, but you can tell right away it is more sterile. It is definitely more neutral, and it doesn't give it as much of an identity as the Mesa does because it's kind of asking for you to do something with it. Whereas with the Mesa, you clearly, hey, this is the clean we do, and either you love it or you don't. But the Marshall, you can tell right away. And look, I have a bit of delay on it. Now I'm going to put the reverb on in the chorus. It feels like it almost needs that to make the clean as exciting. It's really very sterile. It is a beautiful clean. Listen, it is gorgeous clean, but it definitely doesn't give it an identity like the Mesa does. Now here I have chorusing and a little bit of delay. Let's see how that works out for us, you know. Now it's exciting, see? So you kind of see you have to kind of do some tricks to it to make it really. These are the same chords we did a second ago. And now right away you hear the classic rock thing. But see, if I take the chorusing off, and let's say I even take the delay off, and even the reverb, and it's just dry in now, it's kind of a little bit of a boring clean, isn't it? I mean. So you definitely want a little reverb, a little delay, and now we got exciting. You can tell it's a Marshall from a mile away now. It's like that typical kind of classic rock you associate with, like, you know, that stuff. But You need to trick it out where I'm going back into the boogie and I got nothing but a little delay on, and just watch this clean right here. I mean, that clean is incredible. I literally could stop this tape right now and just play G, D, A minor for like an hour, and it would never get boring on the Mesa Boogie. So that's the clean channel for you. Let's go to the crunch. Okay, we're just gonna go channel 2 here. We're gonna take the delay off. We got nothing on. We're gonna take the compression off. We need nothing. This is straight into the Mesa Boogie. And here we go. Wow. That's incredible. That's a really, really good crunch, man. That is really, really, if I put a little delay on that and a little compression, I mean, you can hear the noise now. And this is at 9 a.m. So remember, these amps are noisy. We're gonna need a little gate. Here we go. And there you go. And this gate is phenomenal because it doesn't affect the sound. I have it at about 10 a.m. Same thing again. I mean, that's crunchy AF. What's this? By the way, I'm purposely doing the same old boring lick because it's open voice recordings, and that's how you really expose the amp. You know what I mean? Doing this doesn't do you shit, but this has a wide register. Just that's an incredibly well-contained crunch, man. I mean, this is really, really good. This is really good, man. This is, let's see what we got with the JVM. Here we go. And here we go now to the AFD wiring. So let's see what we got here. All right. And this is a little bit lesser gain because I'm on the amber channel. Sorry, let me get rid of the delay. Here we go. This is good. Just, you can tell right away it's so much different. Incredible clarity. You instantly tell the British thing. And I see what's exciting here, and where the Marshall has the quote-unquote upper hand, is you see I now have 3 settings within that channel. I don't have that on the Mesa Boogie. I don't have different wiring on it. So if I want to tweak the crunch on the Mesa, I got to go there and start adjusting stuff. Whereas here, I can go to red, green, amber, and I get different wirings. Now, if you're on the green, you're like the lowest crunch there is. Let me get the volume master too. It's still clean, just a little overdriven. But once you get here to the AFD, now watch what happens when I go to the red. So I got green, amber, and red. And now you're starting to really, really give the Mesa a run for its money. Check this out now. Exact same phrase on the other one. And again, I'm purposely not editing. I want to discover it in real time. Here we go. It's incredible, man. they sound, hey, quiet there. Look at our beautiful little Sphinx cat there with her little toy. Ha! So, wow, this is hard, man. They're so different and both so good. They're incredible how clean they are. I feel like hey, what's going on, baby? Whoa, look at her. Show our little baby. Look at that little baby. Look at her. You want to play? I'm reviewing an amp. I'm not reviewing, comparing. So I noticed that the Marshall breathes a little bit more. If you notice, it's not as contained. The crunch is a little bit more open. And I don't mean this in any way, in a bad way, but it is a little bit more organic. I feel like the EL34s compared to the 6L6s, you can kind of tell a bit more of the organic thing, whereas the Mesa crunch kind of is more, again, they're doing their thing and that's it. The Marshall, a little bit to me, has a more of body fat to it on the crunch channel, if you know what I mean. And again, we haven't even tricked it out. We're kind of going on similar settings straight in, you know. Let's go to channel 3. And I'd love to hear your opinions on that too. So now I'm gonna go channel 3 here, and I'm gonna get channel 3 ready here as well, okay? Or 4 and 3, which are exactly the same on the Marshall. And we're gonna go to the Mesa and watch this when I take the gate off. You hear that? Point at the amp right there. You can hear that noise. And mind you, that's 9 a.m. It is noisy. And it's not the grounding. Those groundings are the wires is totally fine. So check this out. We got the noise on. Same thing. We're going to go to the same phrase. At this point, you're a little bit too, I have a little bit more gain on there. It's almost all the way up. Probably not good for rhythm, probably too much. But for soloing, so let's see what we got. I mean, it's instantly Mesa, that warmth, that almost completely enclosed warmth that it has. Let's go to the bridge. Again, you can just tell it's a Mesa Boogie from a mile away. That's an incredible lead sound. It couldn't be more different from the Marshall and just as good. Again, Ferrari, Lamborghini. To say, I think, again, I cannot stress enough, to suggest that one is better than the other is just foolish when you can have both. There's no way you're a neutral musician trying to get your sound library up and you're gonna, I mean, that'd be just stupid. You're comparing Rolls Royce to an Aston Martin. They're both the best in what they do. They're just so different. But I think if you need both to really have that sound library. Forget the name on the front. It's just it's so well contained. And listen, I'll give you a couple more and then we'll see. Sorry for the poor playing, as you can tell I'm still waking up, but that's incredible tone, man. That's as good of a lead tone as you can get. Let's get to the Marshall, see what we got. We're gonna go here. Yeah, I mean, you can instantly tell that it's hard to describe. I've never heard two sounds I would love so much that are so different. Usually when you have this big of a difference in sound, even the cat is excited, you usually clearly can tell you prefer one more over the other. But here I feel like I generally have two different cleans I can use, two different crunches, two different leads I can use. And remember, there's so much more to these amps than just what I'm showing you. There's obviously way more to it. We're just going very generic, dialing one in and just going with it. But just listen to the difference in these things. I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna have a little delay. I got the noise gate on. I got the compression on. Let's just kind of fully trick this side. On the other one, reverb, delay. Pretend we're doing a little solo here, and both reverb, both delays, and just pretend we're jamming a little bit here. I mean. Now we're just doing boring scales, just kind of, you have the same phrase over and over. Crunches. Wow, let's go to the Marshall. You can probably turn the bass down a little bit more on the Mesa there. Again, you gotta go fix things a little bit, whereas with the Marshall you can do a little bit more adjusting. But again, we're keeping the settings simple. That's a hard tone to beat, guys. And this is straight into the Marshall with nothing. You got the reverb and delay are post. So flip a coin, you know what I mean? It's incredible. Also notice the difference in size. You know, it's funny, they're both about 200 pounds in weight. I can tell you, obviously, the Marshall, whether you like it or not, is just, if you look at it, it's just more user-friendly because it's just spaced out more wide with respect to the knobs. It's hard when I go in there. With the Mesa, you kind of have to dial your tone in and leave it and be done, because if you go and touch something, every time my finger even tries to pull out the gain or the push-pull and the presence, it touches other knobs. So you have a little bit more spacing, not between the knobs per se, but just overall a little bit more to work with real estate on the Marshall. But again, that's just the nature of the beats the way they are. As you know, their heads are smaller than the cabs, and just kind of like that unique look it gives it. But man, you know, so I'm going to end this on a very simple note. We're going to take the delay off, and now I'm going to give you the very dry, I'm going to take the reverb off as well. A couple power chords. I'll leave you with that because power chords can expose us a little bit to muddiness too. So let's see how both amps handle that with something very, very, very simple. Give you kind of heads up how it would be if you went to drop D or drop C something, but we're just gonna do like 1 and 5. So here we go. I'm gonna add a 9th. Let's go to the crunch. I've never heard an amp that is more clear with respect to overtones of how it handles overtones. If you want to know the difference between an expensive and a cheap amp, just do what I just did, and it will expose the muddiness right away. Obviously, there's none here, and I'm not even fully dialed in. I kind of gave it generic settings that I know are good for Mesa Boogies. Let's go to the Sat, and we're gonna go first on AFD. Here we go. It's incredible. And now we're going to go a little bit to the more gain one. So you can tell the clarity with respect to the wiring, the quality, the containers and the tubes. You can also tell this is a 101 class in the difference between 6L6s and EL34s. You can tell, I mean, forget the comparison of the amps. If you want a tube comparison, this is it right there. So Well, I hope this gives you a little bit of an idea. I hope I didn't bore you too much. So what I'm going to do right now is go play them both into the ground. This is stuff that motivates you to play. The craftsmanship is incredible. It is stupendous how good these amps are. And I can tell you, if there's something I just learned, and that's the reason I did it in real time with you, if there's something I just learned within the last, whatever, 8-9 minutes we've been here on this segment, is that the dumbest thing, the most stupid thing you can do in life is to have one without the other. Forget the name on the front, but I'm going to go as far as to say, if you're a guitar player and you love guitar sound and guitar music, the biggest disservice you would do yourself is to have one of these heads without the other, let alone do something as dumb to suggest that one outdoes the other, or that somehow you'd be better off with one and not the other. I can tell you one of the best things I've ever done is put them next to each other, and the tonal options you have now, why you would sacrifice half of that is beyond me. So I hope this gives you a little bit of idea of what this is. Please subscribe to the channel, would really appreciate it, and stay tuned for the next videos. Promise you we'll be back to less casual, but I just wanted to satisfy some of the, I just saw there's more inboxes in Facebook like, hey man, I need a video comparison real quick, I want to go buy one or not. So I really appreciate it. Stay tuned guys, have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.